Good morning, everybody. It's a wonderful sports weekend coming up with NFL Week 1. We are back. Fall season is here. Today it's the Birds versus the Cowgirls. Everything's in motion.
Oh, I just wish that I didn't have to hear Jerry Jones either speak
Yes.
or some photo of him or whatever, just for one day, let alone 1 week. That guy
Hey, who's
is
the
just
better owner,
annoying and he's
Kelce
nauseating.
or the better owner, Jason Kelce or good old Jerry?
Well, you know what? Jerry Jones, and I hope you're listening, Jerry. Jerry Jones loves Jerry Jones. And don't get me wrong. I get the idea of, hey, you know what? You turned Dallas franchise into this billion-dollar entity, and it's great from a marketing standpoint. But my complaint about any owner that owns any team is that you're in the upper echelon when it comes to wealth, right? Generally, you're supposed to try to win. You should not put yourself above the team. You got to stop being Puff Daddy. Puff Daddy was trying to get into every one of his artist videos and take that, squirt some bubble baby oil and shit. That's what Jerry Jones does. He wants to shine brighter than the guys on the field. He reminds me a little bit of Jerry Krause. Jerry Krause was the guy who used to say that organizations win championships, not players.
Right.
Bullshit. Right. I call bullshit on that because you're not on the field. Yep. You're not the one that busts your butt and sacrifices your body to make it happen.
So I take it back all the way down to the primal need of sports. Sports are played, not managed.
Yes. Yes. I mean, maybe you manage things while you're on the field, but you're on the field doing that. So you don't need somebody who's not even involved in real action being the one who wants to get all the glory, the fame, the fortune, have the voice. And I'm sorry, everything he said, and I know I'm talking a lot, I want you to also get your opinion in there, but there is no way on earth that you trade away that kind of talent. He had the Herschel Walker trade, great. That was great for Dallas. That made their dynasty. This is not that, but he's trying to frame it as such. Oh, well, you're getting a couple of defensive players. I'll take 6 players for one. You know what? I'll take 6 players for one if they're all great. I won't take 6 players for one if you're throwing away a generational talent that could easily propel your team into that group of teams where every year you're talking about them winning the Super Bowl. That's what Micah Parsons is. And you gave that away for what? A song and a dance and a couple of draft picks that are going to be low because the team you traded him to that just happened to be in the same conference that you couldn't beat with him. You think you're going to beat them now that they got him? So how is that helping you make your team better?
I'll make a counterpoint and I'll make a punch. So the counterpoint, I think, and we'll see this play over time, and you've seen this news come out, I think, in the last 24, 48 hours, is that Micah is supposedly still playing slightly injured, perhaps. And now the funny thing is he was medically cleared, everything else, even Brian Schottenheimer, the coach of the Cowboys, was like, yeah, he's ready to take the field, yada, yada, yada. Right now, given even yesterday's news of Kawhi Leonard and the shadiness of the NBA ownership and everything else, I trust nothing coming out of any owner's mouth these days. So, do we know if Micah's truly injured to the point where they needed to do this trade because they knew something that other teams didn't or didn't want to recognize or understand? I don't know. And maybe that's what Jerry's playing coy about, and all that, and who knows? We'll find out over time, like I said. Now, interestingly enough, I don't know if you saw news literally in the last 12 hours, the Koch family, which very well powerfully connected politically and everything else centered out of Kansas, just paid $10 billion for only a 10% stake.
Yeah, 10% stake.
Giants. of the Giants.
And we're
Jerry, how
$10
do you feel
billion.
about your franchise not being the top dog anymore?
I mean, what is the value of the Giants franchise for somebody to, one, want to invest it,
100
and
billion?
two, pay that kind of money for it?
And it's not 100 billion, considering the last sale in the NFL was literally 6 billion by Josh, for the
How does that make sense? How does that make sense? The math doesn't add up.
No, it doesn't at all, and that's where I'm floored by that. I'm curious to see how Jerry feels this morning, because he's going to get buttered. He's like, "Oh, my Cowboys aren't the most valuable franchise even in my own division." Well, no shit, not based on that price tag.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, both of those teams suck, and you shouldn't be investing anything in those teams. If you want to invest something, you invest in the Washington Commanders, because those guys are looking. They're trending this way. Dallas.
If I'm investing in any one, well, obviously the Eagles are the Eagles. Don't get me wrong. Now, if I'm investing in an actual up and coming contender, yes, I am putting all my chips in for the Commanders by far and away. Now, talent wise, you have to admit the Giants have a lot of talent sitting on that roster that's super young right now. And now, if it ever comes together, we'll see in time. We don't know. But you got Malik Neighbors. You've got an elite 3 defensive guys out there. It's ridiculous. Now, can you put it together? No idea. But it is kind of cool to see that New York has some star power, some star players kind of building in the mix. Is it worth $100 billion? Hell no.
Hell
not a
to the no.
World worth $100 billion. Not even soccer teams are worth $100 billion.
That doesn't even make sense to me. And the other thing with the Giants is this: unless they've changed who's functioning up at the top. Remember, this is the franchise that just a year or two ago let Saquon Barkley go and kept Daniel Jones and ended up cutting him before the end of the season. Think about that.
Mind-blowing. Think about that. I mean, you weren't willing to pay Saquon Barkley, and at that time, what I would consider a bargain, considering the new salaries that came out this year.
Right.
And you thought that was too much, so you let him go, and sure enough, you got an MVP and a Super Bowl out of it. Great. Now you're bringing in an owner who's paying $10 billion for 10% stake in your company? Like, this is like a bad episode of Shark Tank. I can't figure it out.
I don't know, but that just sounds like good money after bad.
Like I said, it's just weird. I don't get it. It's going to be interesting to see how all the ego dynamics play out in time. But going back to Jerry and his whole thing, yeah, we're going to have to see in time how this trade shakes out. Right now, on paper, I could tell you that it was a monumental failure on the Cowboys. And frankly, I can't name anybody else in their defense. I don't want to. It's not. Deron Bland had a flash in the pan to me. Bland
was the guy. He was getting pick sixes and all of that. Trayvon Diggs is coming back.
All those guys. Like, okay, you got a secondary, but you got to have a linebacker and you got to have a lineman.
Well, and just let us remember, Trayvon Diggs is that 0 or 100. He'll get burnt just as many times as he ball hawks and makes a play. So just I don't know if I necessarily can depend on that when it really counts at the end of the game. Don't get me wrong. He looked great previously. We'll see how he looks. Bland looked pretty good too. But the other part of that is if you can't rush the quarterback, going to be an issue. I don't care how great of a safety you are, unless you're pulling out Revis Island or the old Dion. You're whoever you are, you're going to get burnt if the quarterback's getting 5, 6, 7 seconds because nobody's on him. So
I'll say it right now. Tonight's game is going to be 40-14.
You know what? I actually was thinking about putting a bet. I don't know what the line is, but whatever the line is probably like 9 to 10 points. I'm thinking it's at least 14. Could be more.
I think so too. I mean, I'm sorry, but the Eagles are the Eagles. They've retained everyone. Howie Roseman is a god of a GM. I will give him credit because the man has made it work with all of that star power and all of that money and everything else going on over there. To retain a Super Bowl caliber team year after year now, I mean, it's been impressive to watch. And the fact that they've got talent at every line set on both ends of the ball. That's what's scary about the Eagles. This is truly a contender for the next 2 to 3 years. Like, this is deeper than what I would say as a Kansas City fan. This is a deeper roster over the next 2 years than what KC's had over the last 5 in terms of line after line having star power. Now,
Mhm.
Can they afford to keep it long term? Probably not, because of all the salary
Well,
cap.
that's
But
always the issue. Yeah.
they're gonna ride this wave for 2 years, 3 years at least, I think.
Well, look at the fact that they've won 2 championships over what, 5 years?
Yes.
And the Chiefs pretty much won all of the others with the exception of Tampa
Okay.
Bay, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, that's dynastic, right? If every
Yes.
year, and that's what I was talking about before, if you are in the conversation in the top 2 or 3 teams to win the championship every year, you've done your job as a coach, as a manager, whatever position you want to talk about. That's what you want to achieve, is not only being there, but being there consistent.
Going back to our overall message here, what it takes to be a championship team in the NFL is simple. Good head coach, good GM who work together to manage the team. Not the owner. Not the owner.
Well, remember, Jerry's the GM too, right?
But Jerry's the GM, but how many coaches has he had?
Well,
Think about that one. No
that's
stability.
the thing. And that's the thing. And quite
When you're a
frankly,
GM, you can't get along with your coach. That's a Jerry Krause situation.
well, and I think, and that's funny you mentioned the Jerry Krause thing, because I think this sort of aligns with some of the things, the problems the Bulls had. Once Michael was gone, and the fact that everybody knew what the organization was about, like you're such a bad organization, you let the GOAT leave your team, and you're pushing him out the door. Not that he left, you pushing him out the door. Nobody would come to the Bulls after that. And that's what's going on with Dallas. Who wants to come to Dallas? Hey, if I'm on the team, I'm trying to get out of there, because when it's time for me to get paid, Jerry's going to draw everything out like he's done with Ezekiel and Dak and CD and everybody. So it's his team. And quite frankly, and don't get this wrong, don't take this out of context, but there are things that come out of his mouth and his actions that when you hear players or other people talk about how the owners have that slave owner mentality, they treat these people like possessions. And don't get me wrong, if I'm an owner, I sort of own all of these things, but it isn't owned like I can just treat you any old way and I can't show you no respect and I don't appreciate what you're doing on the field that makes me these billions of dollars and boost the value of my franchise. That's a problem. That is a problem. And who wants to go to Dallas? Do you want to go to Dallas?
This is a team sport. When's the last time you can talk to people? Yeah, when's the last time you can speak of the Cowboys as a team effort? It's been since VHS tapes were last alive. That's when it was. That's when you had a triumvirate of players or quadruple of players that played together to win the game. You had Emmitt Smith, you had Michael Irvin, you had Troy Aikman, you had Jay Novacek, you had the boys, you had I forget the name of the fullback that was awesome in front of Emmett. They had
Newhouse. Well, was it Newhouse? No, that was a little older, Robert Newhouse. I do remember what you're talking about. You had the great tight end. Heck, you had Charles Haley. You had a great defense. Heck, you had Deion.
Charles Haley, everybody. Shoot, you can name off that defense was insane.
And again, that Herschel Walker trade did that. Will this trade provide the same kind of harvest or fruit? Hell no.
If this truly was, and this is the other background afterthought, if this was Jerry's way to set himself up to somehow go after Arch Manning or whatever it is for next year, I'm sorry, but Arch has already failed in game 1 in college. You're
He's
just looking for name cachet.
He's overhyped. And you know what? I think that probably will be good. I heard from Brady and maybe some other people said that. Sometimes you need to have a bad outing to refocus yourself and get you off of that hype wagon where your head is this big and you can barely walk into the room,
Yeah.
So maybe that'll humble him and work.
No, and frankly, again, this is a kid that honestly hasn't been much in front of the media. So everything that's being said has all been media hype. You, me, everyone else that's been talking about it, whatever. It's all media conjecture. So yeah, the pressure's been put on, and obviously it's because his last name is his last name. I get it. Now,
that's it.
I believe I forgot which podcaster it was that I was listening to. Put it very well and very succinctly. Okay, this kid played at a second-rate or a second-tier school in high school. He played against fluff competition, and he lit up a scoreboard, and his last name was Manning. Okay, then guess what? He shouldn't be getting all the hype. He shouldn't be getting all the accolade other than the fact that it was his name is his name. Nothing different than I'd say even the Sanders boys. The Sanders boys didn't come out hugely hyped out of high school. but their dad is their dad, and he carried them into college. And guess what? Now they're in the NFL, whether we like it or not. Whether they're great or not, we'll see over time. But you got to build your own name. You can't live off your parents' cachet, that's for sure.
And if I was the child, I would want that.
Yes.
Because you do need to build your own name. At some point, someone's going to call you out and be like, yeah, well, you're really a lot of fluff and pomp and circumstance because of your name. You haven't shown me anything on the field.
I'll tell you what's going to happen with the Cowboys. I'm going to make a funny prediction. You're going to go, you're going to lose this season. You might finish like 6-10, 6-11, who knows? Because honestly, you don't have the defense to support anything right now, and you're going to be a sieve, and you're going to lose your division, lose everything else. So you'll fall into a top 10 pick, let's say, maybe even a top 5 pick for the draft next year. You'll sacrifice your pick plus whatever else to go move up to 1, maybe go and get an Arch Manning. Okay, so you got Arch Manning on your roster. Great. You got nothing else left. Maybe you trade away a Dak, whatever it is, whatever needs to be done. Then you go pick up, let's say, Sanders, in free agency, just because, he's not happy in Cleveland being a backup or whatever it is. So you're building all this
He's
name.
not even the backup.
Yeah.
Wait, he's not even the backup. He's the second backup.
I know that. Yeah. But then you bring in all your ticket holders. They're going to pay the money to come see everything over in Jerry's world and all that stuff. So Jerry's still making his money. And maybe that's all this is. Jerry's still making his money. Maybe he really doesn't even care about getting the title before he dies. But you know what? He keeps talking about it, but he ain't showing it.
No, the actions don't align with that. And quite frankly, and again, I want people to just hear this and put it in the proper context. The Chicago Blackhawks won a championship in 1961, and the owner, after that time, Bill Wirtz, didn't even want to have them on TV. We were watching them on WSNS, channel 44, which is some UHF kind of channel, right?
Right. Spin dials.
He had that old school philosophy, and only when he passed away did the Hawks actually get into this century and start winning, because Rocky had a different view, and he realized he could capitalize on that to make your money, but also have a good product.
Yep.
There are other owners in other situations like that, and I'm sorry to say, the Cowboys will not be good until Jerry Jones is no longer associated with the franchise. I'll just put it like that, because I don't want to be morbid or anything like that.
The Jones family. We don't know what Stephen Jones is either. So yeah, you're right. That's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, take a look at. I hate to bring up a bad family situation, but think about the Buss family with the Lakers. After Jerry Buss died, not much has happened, because, you had the kids, you had Jeannie and everybody else kind of take over, and they were squabbling over all the control and everything else. So that was an issue too.
Yeah. And you had Palinka and all of those people too involved. Which
a lot of weird characters. And it just hasn't worked out. I mean, we can go down the roots of history and say that where the owners have superseded their role on most teams, including the Blackhawks example you just gave, franchises have failed for a very long time. Very long time.
Hey, look at the Bears. The Bears is in one of the best football towns in America.
Yeah.
But you got this old-fashioned thought process with the McCaskey family, and they're just totally bottom line oriented. Jerry is bottom line oriented. He's not looking to win. He's looking to make Jerry face. He wants to see his face everywhere, and he wants to be heard. That's Jerry. And I'm telling you, Dallas, you won't be successful until he is gone. Yeah.
No, like I said, and frankly, I hope everyone's tired of talking about the Cowboys at this point, because it's beginning. And I'd rather be talking about the sport in general and the NFL, because there's so much better stuff to be talked about in the NFL as a whole. I'm tired of talking about a team that hasn't won, literally, like I said, since VHS tapes were still sold at Blockbuster. There are other franchises that have been better in that time. Think about how many rings J-Lo has had before the Cowboys have gotten a ring. Well,
and that's the truth. And again, it's about performance and winning games. What has the Cowboys done? What have they done in the postseason?
Yeah,
not the regular season. In the postseason,
not just on the field,
that they're growing. What's that?
Jerry's whole thing is we're America's team. Well, guess what? You're not America's team.
Man, they haven't been America's team since before. They were America's team, maybe in the 70s. maybe in
Yeah.
the 80s, potentially in the 90s. Since
In the
then,
90s, yeah.
since then,
No.
New England Patriots might have been America's team.
Red, white, and blue dynasty. I'm sorry, that's America's team. Simple.
Hey, wait, and they're called Patriots.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'll put that out there because I don't think that Dallas has been America's team since the 90s. And now it's just hate. It used to be love-hate. Now it's just hate. Even your fans hate you.
Yep. No, like I said,
hey,
we're tired of Cowboys. Let's talk about the rest of the NFL.
Yeah, no talking about them. There's a lot of movement in the NFL. Anybody who's been part of these fantasy drafts, you had to stay sharp on, the fact that a lot of people are in different places. And we'll wait to see how that all works out. I want to see what happens, quite frankly, in some of these really like older franchises that haven't been successful. You talked about the Giants. I would love to see them become a good team, and they have the potential they could be. I'd love to see the Cleveland. I feel so bad for the city of Cleveland. They've gone through so much, the fumble, and all of that, and they just never seem to be able to break the curse. And it just seems I'm so hopeful that Joe Flacco can bring some of that Flacco magic to the Cleveland Browns. I would love to see them be successful. I just would. I'll always root for the underdog, and I would love to see that. Having said that, I don't think it's going to happen, though. Just like
I'm sorry, a cursed franchise is a cursed franchise unless things change. And unfortunately, the Browns are still that cursed franchise because they keep buying felons and people that cause other issues, and God knows what other management issues they got.
Yeah. Well, and that Deshaun Watson thing just sort of blew that franchise up. That was the stupidest move to do, the stupidest thing. Hey, I got one question before we get into the games and get into some of the detail of each one of the games. I know there have been changes in contracts when televising games, but it looked like, first off, when do we ever have a Friday game? Is this something new?
Because the NFL is going wild now to the point where, honestly, it's becoming sickening as a fan because I think somebody had a great meme on this. You've got to own like 8 different streaming services this year to cover every game. And the cost of that
I was getting at
is monumentally stupid. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, obviously, tonight's game, okay, NBC, nationally televised, open season are fine. Tomorrow, we got to watch a game in Brazil. First off, players having to fly.
Brazil on YouTube.
Yeah.
Isn't it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube and some other different, things like it's not normally televised. And it's the Chiefs and Chargers, which is a rivalry game in division to open the season. And here you're taking away both fan bases from even trying to enjoy that game. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And the other thing,
and San Diego lost the home game because of it. Think about that.
So that's the part that I was going to get to. You know what? You have a limited number of games. It'd be one thing if this was baseball or even basketball or hockey or whatever, because you have enough games to do that. But you have 17 games. You have a home field for half of those games.
Yep.
You're taking that away from me and you're making me go over to Brazil?
Yep.
Why? Do we think that people are going to start playing football in Brazil anytime soon?
That's what I'm saying. You're never, like, all these places they're going to. The only place that I give credence to taking the game to is Germany, because you're taking it to Ramstein Air Force Base, whereas there is a ton of Americans, obviously, in Germany. And this becomes, something that they can relish from America, coming back to Germany, and there's a lot of troops there. Great. London, no point. I'm sorry. Soccer is king in England. You don't bring football there to play football. It doesn't make any sense.
And you saw that failed when they tried to do NFL Europe. So that was a failure.
Yes. I'm sorry, but I get that the NFL's next endeavor is to try to go global. But at this point, they need to understand that they've already got the dominance as America's sport right now. It's not baseball, it is football. And when fall comes, they own the airwaves from Thursday through Sunday now, unfortunately. Thursday night, you've got a game. Friday nights, to start the season, you've got this one game and then a couple other things like down the road. And then you got Saturday games come December, which are also on like NFL Network and shit like that. It's and then and then you got games on only on Peacock or whatever the hell they got going on now. Like it's just
Well,
it's
between
wild.
Prime and Peacock and all of these different services, how much
Yes.
money do you have to spend if you really want to watch the all of the games?
They said it. I forgot somebody put like I said, somebody put a great meme out because they put all the logos out and everything else. I think it was well north of almost like $400, and that's without even counting like DirecTV, Sunday ticket or whatever it is. That's separate. That's a whole other cost if people decide to go that route. So I mean, it's wild to think that, let's say you're a displaced fan like myself or yourself, where we are Kansas City fans, we live in alternative places. It's going to cost us even more to watch our favorite team.
Right. That just doesn't make sense to me, but that's just me. I get it. It's big business. I get what they're trying to do. I just don't know if that's the right way.
That they can afford to make it fan friendly again. And again, that's the other thing. To go to a game during the regular season is almost out of the grasp of the average American, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I stopped going. I used to take my son. We go to see Bears games. Try to get the opening day. Used to go with a former teacher, professor that I had to. We all do this. I'm not paying $500-$600 to sit in the very last seat in the stadium that's so far away. You need binoculars just to see anything. What's the point?
I can go to afford a TV for cheaper, much,
Well, and that's just the ticket. When you get up in there, the hot dog is like $10. The hot dog, and not like a hot dog. We're talking like this little wiener, disappoint the hooker because you come out with this, that's what I'm talking about. This is ridiculous. So basically you're going to spend, if it's just two people, you're going to spend probably, if you're drinking, I don't know, a couple $100. Easily. So now now I'm paying that, and it might not even be a good team. We're talking like it doesn't even have to be the best team. It's any team.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think, and this is just a personal gripe on my end. So the Chiefs are scheduled to play not just the Commanders, but the Ravens also. So, okay, you got the DMV, you got the Chiefs playing both teams, as it happens by the scheduling measure. Neither game is in this area. Both are in KC. So as a KC fan that lives in this area, I'd have to fly back to KC to catch either one of those two games. I find stupid. Now, are we just completely dismissing the nation's capital for not just football, but even football? Because we're not even having World Cup games here anymore. By the way, buy your tickets next week.
I'm surprised when the World Cup comes here, they're not going to have games there, because I thought they would have them in
you cannot believe it. The DC area, the nation's capital, is not going to have a World Cup game. Our closest game is out in Philly or New York.
Okay, stupid question. Is this because of security concerns, or why would they not do that?
Very good question. That is a very good question, because obviously you got a stadium that the Commanders play at. Yeah, it's a dump, don't get me wrong, but it's not like you can't host a game. You're hosting games in Columbus, Ohio. And then granted, that's a soccer town. Don't get me wrong. I'm not giving discredit there. Great place. But the nation's capital for a World Cup event does not have a game. Let's do the math on this really quick. Look, what nation's capital in the world hosts a World Cup and doesn't have a game?
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Now, by the way, next week, buy your World Cup tickets. It's going to get stupid and crazy.
Wait, what'd you say? I didn't hear you.
So World Cup tickets go on sale next week. And obviously it's going to be a frenzy. And apparently yesterday they came out and said, it's going to be quote unquote dynamic pricing. So pricing is going to be outrageous. We already know that.
Of course.
And it's going to come into something where it's like a great investment event where if you have the money, go buy as many tickets you can, resell them for triple.
And that's exactly what happens, because I tried to get some tickets earlier, and that's what happens. Even for the preseason for the Bears game, they said, we got these free tickets. I was on there. We had some friends on there. By 10 minutes, all the tickets were sold out.
All tickets gone. Yep. Bots are going to take them, all these other things, brokers, whatever. Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, those same tickets that you could have gotten for free are costing you money. And that's what's going to happen. And that's what happens with most of these events. You have somebody who's buying up the majority of it, and they're reselling it and make money. And again, I get it. This is America. That's capitalism at its finest, right? But I feel like you're cutting out the fan, and eventually it's going to come back to bite some of these,
I get that everything's becoming global. Everything's becoming global, and I get that that's the next frontier to make money and everything else. But your local fandom is gone at this point in a lot of places.
Really gone.
It's sad.
You know what? Before we get into
Yeah.
to the rest of this, and I know I'll be closing down. I'm actually having surgery today, guys. Wish me
Good luck to
well.
my partner, finally pain free.
Thank you, and I can't wait. Before we get into the heart of football, just a side note: we've got the semifinals for the U.S. Open going on right now. Quite frankly, I have always enjoyed watching the women's tennis matches a little bit more than the men's, and I'll tell you why. Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz, or Balderaz, they were calling him.
Yeah.
They're it, right? And then you got Djokovic still trying to hang on, and hopefully he wins one. And then everybody else is like, it's such a
gap. It's a mountain.
Between the two. It's like a cavern. It's like you can't find the other competition. It's just those two people, and Djokovic is holding on, but he'll be retiring soon. And I feel like it's boring to watch.
We're getting in that phase of tennis, and like I said, lifelong fan, lifelong historian of tennis and everything else. We're getting to that point where we're really gonna, like, we went through a very special era in the sport where you had multiple players, 4 at least, and if not more, that were always contending. Three for sure, and maybe 4, that were always contending for titles, and it was exciting to watch the rivalry and everything else. Now we're back to a world of 2, unfortunately. And it's literally 2 that are still even separating even further. Every tournament that comes, you see that everybody else is just falling off the map because they can't last physically with these guys in any way, even mentally with these guys. And it has nothing to do with the science of the sport or anything. It's just that these guys are just that much better than the other 15 million of them that are playing behind them, which is sad. Now, Sinner, I have my own personal thoughts. The guy had, doping issues, all that stuff.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm sorry. I used to like him. Don't like him. He's a cheater.
I always put an asterisk on his ass. I mean, I don't care how great he becomes or whatever it is. And yeah, he's a phenomenon to watch. I mean, what he did in the quarterfinals and beat the shit out of a guy 1-1-1, I was just sitting there like, what the hell did you do?
And this guy was ranked. It wasn't like he was some bum, right? Or some, upset guy.
That was early. Like, I think the post-game interview, the pre-game interview, he's like, yeah, this guy's an AI-generated machine. I'm like, yeah, he's playing like an AI-generated machine. Like, he's that solid.
And that's okay. But he should have suffered the consequences of his actions. There were many other tennis players that got drugged, and were basically banned from the sport for a period of time. He got a chance to play in Grand Slams and win.
Yep. He got a slap on the wrist. So did what's her name on the women's side. Iga also, same thing, slap on the wrist for her violation.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I can't stand it because there's so disparate of punishment going on in tennis. It's laughable. But there was a Russian gal, and I keep forgetting her name off the top of my head. She was number 2 in the world at one point. She got caught with doping. She was suspended for 2 years. Okay?
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
Where's Iga's punishment in the same manner? Where's Jannik's punishment in the same manner? Like, I don't get the politics of it. It's just it's sad, and I'm sure the players' union and everything else has got to be pissed off about it too. And I think a lot of people do hold that as a grudge in the locker room, honestly, at the end of the day. So
I would agree with
that point. Yeah, to that point, I'm glad we have the semifinals kind of set the way we do, at least on the women's side, where it's 4 players that I truly respect, that I think are awesome to watch. As much as I wanted to see Coco, honestly, she's also kind of falling apart mentally right now. I mean, I don't know what it is with her. She used to be hungry when she was coming up, but now that she's had the success, like, she can't serve if her life depended on it, sadly.
And she got, I'm sorry, you're a big time, high profile athlete. And, I played tennis. You played it at a much higher level. Your forehand is, in most cases, is your weapon.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
She's got the weakest. I think my forehand's better than her forehand.
Yeah.
And I'm almost 60.
Well, and a lot of this is it's mental yips and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm sorry, but okay. As much as I respect mental issues and things like that coming up in anybody's life or anything of that sort, I'm sorry, but tennis is a mental sport. The people that are the strongest in that sport have the ability to be mentally stronger than anyone else in their field. And that's the reason they've had their successes over time in history. So when people claim that, hey, I'm having it kind of down like this, I'm like, well, that's part of the game. It's part of the game in any sport.
That's
And
true.
like I said,
Ask Osaka. Ask Osaka that same question.
yes,
She was on top of the world and then disappeared for 2 years because she was
yes,
having issues here.
yes. And now, now she's proving that she can kind of overcome that a little bit. I think she had a great post-game interview yesterday after she won, where she was like, yeah, I'm seeing all these like mothers that are having children and coming back to the tour and having great success. And she felt like she was falling behind in that respect because she had a child and everything else, and then also had other issues and stuff like that. But now she's back. She's back physically. She looked great in the quarterfinals, in my opinion. I think it's gonna be a great semifinal between her and Anisimova. Great. As much as Osaka is Japanese by flag, if you will, she grew up in Florida.
She's American. We're claiming that. That's like that draft they had back on
this is a racial draft.
or
We're claiming her and Tiger and everybody else in between.
Yeah, exactly. We're claiming her. We're claiming her. She's the darkest Japanese person you ever see, isn't she? All right.
And I think even during yesterday in the interview, like I forgot who was. I think it was Chris McHenry that interviewed her, and she's like, "Yeah, I saw you and Anisimova both grew up together in Florida." I'm like, "Yeah, no shit, they didn't grow up in Japan."
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing, and this is sort of back to what I was saying about what I like about tennis, what I don't. I like the women's game because I feel like there's a lot more competition, there's a lot more depth, and anyone can really win. Sabalenka is a thing of her own. She has issues mentally at times that break her down when she plays. Yep. But on the men's side, and the other part of that is USA is represented there. Like we have people who can play tennis on the women's side. On the men's
side of U.S. tennis is doing great, in my opinion. I think
while we don't have
while we don't have that upper echelon, like beat them everybody kind of player like a Serena, the fact that we have 10 girls out there that can go out and win a major at any point in time, depending on their run, I find that to be great. And I think it's a testament to what has happened, at least with women's tennis in this country. Men's tennis, I'm sorry, but it's in the shitter.
It's like, man, we need to go get like Jim Courier and Pete Sampras and Agassi and bring them out, or Andy Roddick.
Them out of retirement.
And remember, Andy Roddick, he had his moment, but he wasn't great. And that was in the early 2000s.
I was privileged enough to see Andy Roddick when he was 10, growing up in Omaha, Nebraska, before he became what he became. And he had a draw with him. I mean, the kid had talent and everything else. And at the end of the day, he was the epitome of what we would call American bad boy tennis. It was power tennis. So if it was on, great. And it was on once for a Grand Slam run. But after that, it was nothing. Whereas you had guys like Pete, Jim, Michael, hell, even,
Michael
Todd
Chang,
Martin. I mean, you can go down the list. Andre Agassi. I mean, everybody, all of those guys had sustained success over their careers because the brand of tennis they played was sustained tennis. Long-term, strong, mentally fit. Like, that was cool tennis to watch even growing up. I think we were spoiled by that. And then even carried over into the Federer and Nadal's, Djokovic's. It's been a pleasure to watch that for 30 years. We're now at the tail end of that, unfortunately, where we have two guys that can carry that torch, but the rest of them in the world, not even close.
I agree. And it's boring. I like to see competition. And if I have to wait, so you end up not really watching, because if you got guys losing in the old finals, like 0-0-1 or 1-0-1 or 1-1-1, that's not tennis. It's tennis, but it's not great to watch.
No, and we almost need to go back to the world of, like, what was it, 1960s, where you entered the Open, and if you were a 1 or 2 seed, you got to buy all the way to the semis or the finals. Because honestly, all I wait for is to watch Sinner and Alcaraz in the finals these days, and that's it. And that's
it. That's pretty much it. And I'm not a fan of Djokovic.
I would love to see Joker. I would love to see Joker pull this off and cap his career. As much as I've never been as much of a Djokovic fan as I am a Federer and Nadal fan, I would love to see Djokovic win 25, get it done, retire in class, and call it a day. But there's no way in hell he's beating Sinner and Alcaraz back to back. That's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. And quite frankly, I sort of liked Djokovic when he was that other player that would, busted into the big two, with Nadal and Federer. And he was a little more, I felt humble and he did. Now I feel like he's arrogant. And that whole COVID thing, he reminded me of like Aaron Rodgers, like, you know what? I'm inoculated. I'm sorry. And I just don't like him.
His image is always taking a hit. Yeah, his image has never been that popular figure in tennis, which is unfortunate because of the talent he has on the court. Now, statistically, he'll probably go down as the greatest player ever. respectively, if you ask me 30 years from now when I'm old and who are the greatest tennis players of my generation, I'm still going to say two. I'm going to say three answers, and they could be in any order. To me, always when I was growing up, it was Pete Sampras, and that's a little bit of a generation back. But in the current generation, it's always going to be Federer and Nadal for me. No questions asked.
Federer and Nadal. If you're looking now, you know, Sinner and Alcaraz will be in that same conversation for people younger than us.
Sinner and Alcaraz absolutely will be in that conversation.
Yeah, for me, I'm a little bit older than you, so my generation is beyond Borg and Jimmy Connors and McEnroe and Ilie Nastase, and those were the players of my generation. Me growing up when I played tennis, and it was great to watch, and I enjoyed it. And it seemed like any one of those guys could win, and you had this kind of, you know, you felt like
we had characters.
Well, that's it. You had this thing where you hated some of them, but you loved the way they played tennis, and you'd watch them anyway. You know, Nastase, McEnroe, Connors. Connors was an asshole.
Connors at his old age was just awesome. I mean, I'm sorry, but Connors at age 40
with his little funny Wilson racket, man. And I remember when there were wooden rackets. Like everybody had a wooden racket except Jimmy Connors. He came in with that metal racket with the big W on it, and it was so funny to watch.
Baby.
Yep. With the double backhand and well, he had a forehand, but the double backhand, which wasn't always popular back then. You always had the one-handed backhander. He came with that double backhand, dude was doing it, you know. And then you had like the Edbergs and what's his name?
Edberg, Lendl. I mean, the whole boys. I mean, they actually that's the thing. You had Edberg, Lendl, Boris, Becker. Like that was a great transition. Boris was the dog. I love Boris.
Man, you gotta love a guy that could go play a tennis tournament, go to a restaurant, and have sex with the waitress in the closet. You gotta love that guy. I'm sorry, that's my guy.
And then skin knees on a tennis court. Like this dude was just pure class, in my opinion.
I love watching him play, and I love the women of that time. See, I feel like that was the golden age of tennis. Don't get me wrong, tennis is still great now, but I just feel like you had so many people with character and talent.
Navratilova, Graf, Evert. I mean, take your pick. That whole generation.
Take your pick. You didn't even mention like Celis and all of these others.
No,
like
Celis was the. To me, if Celis had not been stabbed. I mean, think about it. That's another 3-4 Grand Slams in her belt. I mean, she's top 5 anyway. It doesn't matter. But she definitely puts a little bit more of a hindrance and a little bit more pressure on Serena and Venus growing up to kind of, you know, take that bar to the next level if that's the case. Even though, I mean, obviously she still did anyway. Nobody's going to catch Serena, ever, in my opinion. Does not matter. You can't write me a book. You can't write me a player that's even going to hold a candle to Serena, ever.
I would have to agree. I would love to see like Navratilova or Evert play Serena because I feel like they were crafty and
that would be the greatest matchups. Yes.
Yeah, I would love to see that. The saddest thing that I saw was the fact that Serena was on her way out. It was like she would get to the finals of tournaments and she lost like 6 tournaments in a row, like finals. It was just like I'm watching this and I'm going, how do you get to the final and you're right at the cusp of like breaking all-time records and you just can't do it?
Well, and here's my tragic thing for her. I really wish she could have won one more just to put it in the craw of Margaret Court. Because the Margaret Court now, if you read and you kind of hear about what she has to say, she's always been a little bit of a racist, you know, to some degree. And I think she you know, at least in how she comes off and trying to do the public press. And I get it. It was a different time, you know, and all that. And there's a respect and accord to having your record and everything else. But I wish that Serena would have caught her and at least tied her just for that reason, and even passed her, you know, to some degree. Djokovic is gonna do. I don't know. I want to say Djokovic is going to do it at some point, but it's going to be hard against Sinner and Alcaraz. Whenever you got to play both those guys back to back in a tournament, you just can't do it. You can't.
I feel like Joker, if he didn't have to be worn down by playing all of these matches, because he's old. I'm sorry. If you watch him on the sidelines in between points, you can tell he's old and he's getting the most out of his body. But, you know, these young guys can take down every ball.
I mean, when did he ever have to go through both Roger and Nadal back to back? It was very rare that he did in any of his runs, because usually it'd be the other way around with the other two be playing and whatever. It was an interesting
because he was highly ranked. He's not highly ranked anymore because he only plays the majors. He can't afford to play those other tournaments, from a physical standpoint.
Yeah, physical. No, and that's exactly it. So I mean, I'm rooting for Novak. I don't think it's going to happen. I'd like to see Alcaraz win it. But honestly,
Me too.
Sinner's playing on another level, man. Sinner's playing on another level after I saw with his last 2 matches. That dude is AI generated.
Yeah,
The
but
way that
everybody has. But you know what? Everybody has that one team, that one player, that one guy, that one whatever that they have to get over.
Oh yeah, it's
hasn't gotten over Alcaraz. If you look at their record, Alcaraz beats his ass, and he's the only one that beat.
Yeah. No, I think
So
Sinner like
that.
I forgot whether it was his coach Darren Cahill or somebody else was talking to him. Like Sinner walks on a court and he knows he can out physical any player, and he can. There's no question. But when it comes to Alcaraz, because of his natural gifts that kid has, it's something you can't overcome mentally at times.
And he doesn't have that dominance.
You
think about it.
Yeah.
When you walk in and you're confident you're going to beat that player, you beat that player. But when you got that little doubt in your head, because this guy, hey, that shot, all of the other players would never make it to that shot. This guy chases it down and hits a winner. Wow. That starts messing with you up here.
Yeah. So now it would be a fun ending for that.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful that Alcaraz wins. And quite frankly, I would love to see Anisimova and I never can get her name.
Anisimova win. I agree.
Yeah, I would like to see her win for this reason. She went goose egg in Wimbledon and came back the next major and beat that person who goose egged her and beat her straight sets. So I really want her to win. I want Pegula to do well, but I think I really want her to win. Plus, I just want Sabalenka to lose because I think she needs some humbling. She walks around. Sometimes I'm not a fan of her. Sometimes some of the things that she says.
Sabalenka is one of those gals. Like physically, she's dominant. Obviously, she's bigger and taller and powerful compared to many of the women on tour right now. Yeah. Her problem is obviously mental. She falls apart in matches when she can't get her way and things like that. So she needs to be humbled and kind of figure out that next grit level, if you will. Now, I would love to see Pegula beat her, but I don't think Pegula physically can beat Sabalenka unless, again, there's a mental breakdown by Sabalenka. So that semifinal might be moot. Anisimova and Osaka, I think, is going to be a great match. It's going to drain both players.
Yeah.
It's going to drain both players walking into that final, but at least they'll get the day of rest. I mean, like I said, I'd like to see Anisimova run the table because I think she's another one that she's a late bloomer in her career because she took a couple years off for kids and stuff like that.
She took a couple years off too, just like Osaka.
I would love to see her have a resurgence and make a nice run. It's almost like I almost put her equivalent to like a Jennifer Capriati late in her career when she came back after Capriati.
Yeah. I'd like to see them win here. I got one more thing so we can close out tennis and get to football because time is fleeting.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of this part of tennis, and I want a question from you because you're much more involved in tennis than I am. Why is it that every single freaking point that's played, you see somebody get a point and they go, or they, and it's one freaking point. It's 15 love, and you're like, or besides that, because that's annoying to me. The second thing is this. They look over at their box like the box is playing the match for them, and they're blaming people that are watching them play as if they are at fault. What the hell is going on with all of this?
One thing I hate about the latest trend in tennis, ever since they allowed the whole coaching bit and all that garbage. I'm sorry, but I grew up in a world where you weren't allowed to coach in the middle of matches, points, and everything else. You only have certain times and phases where that was allowed. Yeah. And it changes the game because now you're not building, in my opinion, you don't have as mentally a fit a player as what you used to have in the olden age. That's why you got two guys that are mentally fit that rely only on themselves, Sinner and Alcaraz, that stand alone. Djokovic does it more for the antics. Like he doesn't really get he's in that crossover phase where the guy's still mentally tough. He knows how to play the game. There's no issue. He yells at his box just to have the antics and his outlet valve or whatever. That's fine for me. And Sinner and if you watch Sinner and Alcaraz, they don't even look up at their box. They don't because they know they're already programmed to know how to play.
I disagree with you. They do because that was one of the things I noticed with Sinner's last match and with Alcaraz's last match. Besides the fact that they're shaking their rackets every time they win a freaking point, like you think it was the last point of the tournament, they look over at the box. And I'm like, you guys are way too good to do that. But the other thing that I find disturbing is how are we helping these players, like you said, be mentally tough if I'm sitting over there like I'm looking for my mom to get
a helicopter parent.
What kind of stupid stuff is that?
See, that's right. I hate the whole quote unquote, I still call it helicopter parent mentality, which I think makes people weaker, in my opinion, all around. You're
don't
not letting
disagree with
somebody
that.
stand on their own 2 feet at the end of
Yeah,
the day.
how do I ever stand if I'm constantly looking at you for approval, for you to give direction? How do I ever learn my own direction and who I am if I'm always looking at you?
Yep.
It
That's how I
bugs
challenge
the hell out
my
of me.
soccer field too. I don't want, like I tell my soccer players, like, don't look at me when you get the ball. Do what you need to do on the field. Make your decisions. You know,
We've practiced this. You practice this all the time. Why do you now need to look back? What do I need to do? Oh my God, I'm in a situation. Can you help me get through it? Get out of here. Stop.
Well, and like you said, I'm not going to make it a bigger indictment about the current generation, but I feel like they're not as mentally as strong as some of our generation, I like to say. So
but we're feeding into that. We're supporting that by things like this. Hey, you know what?
So.
These young athletes need to have their coach next to them and constantly going in their ear and telling them what to do. See, that's stupid. That's, to me, it's stupid. That's my perspective. Man, I get.
No, I'm 100% on board with it.
But
I say the exact same thing when I see people in the tennis court. I'm like, look, let them stand, let them hit, let them learn from their mistakes. You know, let them fall.
You know? Yeah. Because now, if I don't know how to do it for myself, what if you're not there? Then what do I do?
Well,
I don't know.
Think about it this way: you sit there and you handhold somebody in any sport to the point where all they see is success. When they fail, they don't know how to handle it.
They don't know how to handle it. Osaka,
a
few others.
100%.
So they break 100%. Down.
Yeah,
100%. All right. I think we've given tennis a lot more than we needed to. Hey, you know what? For all of those people who are into the baseball's winding down. We're in the month of September. This is the show me kind of period of the year. You work your way up to this point, and I've seen some teams, especially with the Cubs. I've seen teams go from the top of their division to not even making the playoffs because they go on a losing streak towards the middle and end of September. So we'll see what happens. There are a lot of interesting races going on. Yep, but there are also some teams that you could just tell are sort of the cream of the crop right now. And I'm really curious to see. I would love to see the Phillies do well, only because Klaus Schwarber in their team, and he's been doing just wonders with his bat. And I'm a Cubs fan, and I hate the fact they let him go. But we'll see what happens.
I'd like to see a Phillies Dodgers National League title matchup. I think it'd be cool to see. You got money versus talent, in my opinion. I think the Phillies have shown that they've got some exceptional talent building at every single position without having to spend the Dodgers' money.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'd like to see the Brewers against the Phillies. I'm tired of the Dodgers.
Brewers would be the greatest. The Brewers would be the greatest story.
Dodgers. I'm not a Brewers fan, but I'm just so tired of the Dodgers. The Brewers were tied with the Cubs back in like August, the beginning of August. They had like the best records in the league. And they went this way, and the Cubs went this way. So we'll see what happens. October's coming. I still think that, for the most part, they need to change baseball. 162 games, feeding into the month of October. The month of October, if you're in Chicago, sucks. Just like just like April sucks. Why are you playing games when you possibly might see snow?
Maybe Ben Johnson gets you guys to the promised land. We don't know. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see. But with that said, if there is one sport that should try to go more global instead of the NFL, it should be baseball. They should play more series in Japan and China and Chinese Taipei and down in the Caribbean and everything else. That's where the game is being played at the youth level. I'm sorry, but Chinese Taipei and the Little League World Series kicked some ass.
Yeah, they did. But baseball to me is already global, and that's sort of witnessed by what you just saw, what you just mentioned with the Little League World Series. What's that?
Hear you? Can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Hello?
Hold up. Here, say something again.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you. Sorry. Yeah, we're good. Yep.
All right. Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like my mic is on and everything. But baseball is already global. Basketball is global. Football does not need to be global. Not every sport needs to be global. I'd rather see global bowling or, tennis is a global sport. I'd rather see that than global football. All right. So now that we've covered all of the other sports, let's talk about the real sport, the one that America likes the most, which is football. And again, football is only 17 games, not 82, not 162. They doesn't play all the time, and that's what brings the value. Every game counts.
Absolutely.
This is week 1. on the schedule, we got some interesting matchups just to start. The first game
What
out
are
of
you
the
talking about
box,
today? Yeah.
Dallas against Philly. Philly's like a prohibitive favorite.
Yep.
They're coming off of a Super Bowl championship. As you mentioned, their team is still pretty much kept together.
Yep.
How badly are they going to beat the Dallas at home? Are they going to beat them by 20 or by 30?
You take them double digits. The spread's 8.5. I mean, I think like you said earlier, I think it's a 2-touchdown game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's at least two touchdowns.
Yeah.
We don't even need to talk much about that. Jerry Jones did Dallas a disservice, and they're going to feel it when they get against Philly, and they can't stop the run and can't stop the pass.
Exactly. Let's get on to the second game because it's not just fandom for us, but I think it's actually going to be a pretty good game with the Chiefs and the Chargers in Brazil. So travel and everything else. We've got a great team. We're still, we still retained our talent and everything else, but honestly, the Chargers are on the come up. They've shored up some weaknesses. They've got a good coach now that can do run first. Their problem is the fact of the matter is they picked up a great running back, I think, with Najee Harris, but he's playing with one eye and playing like Zoolander, can't turn left probably. But we also have a rookie running back. I forgot the kid's name. Henderson, I think, is the last name. But, they've got a running game. And because of that, and because the Chiefs have always been kind of a bend, don't break type defense, I think this is going to be a grinded out game. In terms of the Chargers defense, I can't name the star power in the secondary. So can Mr. Mahomes and Mr. Kelce and Mr. Worthy and the rest of the crew exploit that and make it a shootout versus making it a grinded out game where we're going to have to rely on ball control and everything else?
Well, I still think that, coming off last year, I think they finished like eighth in the offensive categories. I feel like the Chiefs still are sort of finding the offense that they historically and annually, had annually when they were, winning the Super Bowls.
Yep.
This is one of those games I feel like, especially it's a divisional game. I feel like it's not going to be that shoot 'em out kind of game. I think they're going to be feeling each other out. I could see a 19-17 or 24-20 kind of game. I could see it being somewhere along that. But it's off. I will not go against the Chiefs until people start beating them. I still hold the Chiefs in high regard and feel like they're going to be the AFC representative in the Super Bowl.
You've given Andy Reid 6 months to plan for this game. I think we're fine. You're giving Spagnuolo 6 months to plan the defense, regardless of talent or not. We're going to be fine. I like our secondary this year a lot more than I did last year. So that's a good thing, especially playing against some high flyer teams in the defense or in the division. So yeah, I like the Chiefs. Line's 3.5. I'll take it. I'll take the Chiefs at a greater than 3.5. I think it's gonna be like a 24-20 type situation.
Yep, I'm with you. Same thing here. Same score as I mentioned earlier. Moving on, we got Atlanta against Tampa Bay. Now, this is another divisional game, and as we've seen over the past few years, that division, the NFC South. It's pretty much only Atlanta and Tampa Bay. And if you got a 500 record, you might be able to win the division.
And you know what? I'm going Tampa Bay as my dark horse to not just obviously win the South, but honestly maybe have the best record in the NFC or the second best record in the NFC walking into the playoffs. And here's why. They got 6 games against mediocre talent in their own division. So to me, that's 6 guaranteed wins for them. As much as Atlanta has some come up, let's say, with Bijan and Penix and all that crew, I don't think they can beat Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay still retained everybody on their team, again, on their offense. And frankly, their offense is underrated to me. Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, 1,000 yards every year. Does not matter.
Mike Evans is the shit.
Does not matter.
Yeah, I agree. Mike Evans is all that. I do sort of agree with you with Tampa Bay. I do think they're going to win the division. I think we'll have to see what Penix actually does versus what they think he can do. And it's one thing to come in middle season and play towards the end. It's another thing to be the starter from day one and how you perform. We'll see. They haven't learned how to use Pitts. Pitts was supposed to be that great tight end that never became a great tight end. Yeah, it is the Pitts. I think Tampa Bay wins that game on the road. I don't agree with you as far as their record, but I think Tampa Bay will end up winning this division, be a playoff team. Once they get to the playoffs, they're going to be hard to beat because Mayfield is he's a gamer.
He's a
This
baller.
dude,
He's a
he's like
gamer.
the old Jim McMahon. He may not have all of the qualities of the high profile quarterbacks, but he wins, and he's got his team believes in him.
Yes.
So that goes a long way when you're playing football.
I jokingly say he's the white Jameis Winston. He'll get his team fired up. All right.
Well, as long as he doesn't throw interception to touchdown ratio is like 1-1.
Right. As long as he's not eating crab legs and throwing 50-50 balls, then we're fine. Exactly.
All right,
Now,
so moving on to the next game, we've got another divisional game, Cleveland at home against Cincinnati. What are we going to see with that? I mean, yeah, the dog pound is the dog pound, but boy, I don't know.
Cleveland's got the defensive star power, as we know, right? Does Cleveland have an offense? I can't even tell you, because honestly, their wide receiver core is in shambles. Joey Flacco is your quarterback, and maybe he can stand upright. Who's your running game now? I mean, Chubb's gone. I still have question marks there. So I don't know about your offense.
Ford isn't bad, and they can do halfway decent running, but they're going to be passive because they might be down every game they play.
And that's the thing with Cincinnati. You're getting potentially, 30 points a game from your offense, but your defense is going to be a sieve, so it's going to give up 30. So in terms of just capability in the game, I'm going to go with Cincinnati to win this game, but it could be a shootout for all we know,
Yeah, I think Cincinnati's D is going to be a little bit better. At least they did finally get that deal done with Hendrickson, so he's going to be on the field.
Temporary, yeah.
Yeah. I just think, I don't think Cleveland can score 30 points, even against the Civ, whereas that Cincinnati, with those weapons, are going to score. And watch out for the running back. Brown, they got rid of Mixon a year or so ago. Brown he's going to get his.
Well, just think about this. With Cincinnati, you've got to mark up Chase. You got to mark up Higgins. You got to mark up Gesicki. You got to mark up. They still have Iosevich, or I forgot the Croat guy.
Oh yeah, the other receiver who is actually pretty good. Ends in BIAS. Yeah, whatever his name is.
You got 4 weapons on the outside. So what does that do? That frees up Chase Brown to do whatever he wants in the middle. So you know what? It is going to be a hell of an offense to watch as long as it's executed well and stays healthy. But the defense is going to kill you,
Well, I think that's going to cost them when they get against teams that are high-powered offenses as well. And we saw last year that they had, 7 games that they played where they scored 40 points or more and lost 4 of them, something like that.
Yeah. Might be a repeat.
That's an indictment on your defense. There's no way that you score 40 points and should lose more than 1 game.
And you did nothing to shore it up in the offseason either. That's the reason I'll go Cincinnati over Cleveland, but, you're talking about the 2 worst teams in that division, unfortunately, because you've got the Steelers and you've got the Ravens to deal with too.
Yeah. The next one I'm looking at, we could probably go through this one pretty quick. Yeah. New England against Las Vegas. I'm curious to see the energy that Pete Carroll is infusing in Las Vegas and see what that translates to onto the field. We'll find out. I'm going Geno and the boys
because I think they're going to go ball control with Austin Janty, who's going to go underrated. I think all year. I think he's going to be a ball hawk, and he's going to carry the team to some degree. As far as their wide receiver core, not star power, but you know what? Geno can get a ball and get the ball out, so I'll give him credit. So with Pete Carroll at the helm and everything else, I like the Raiders in that game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. As much as I have to say that New England is better and it looks like he could be the quarterback that they want, I just don't think they have enough. I don't know if their defense is going to be able to keep them in enough games to get their offense on board. Because if they're only scoring 20 points, they may not win many games.
Exactly. It's going to take New England probably a couple seasons under Vrabel to kind of build up a defense and everything else. The Vrabel way, if you will, as I like to call it. I think he's a great coach. I think he got canned for the wrong reasons in Tennessee.
Yep.
So he'll get the culture back up in New England, but just not this year.
Yep. The next one I'm looking at, and it looks like it's going AFC, NFC on what I'm looking at from a schedule standpoint. New Orleans against Arizona. Again, another one of these games I don't think we are going to spend a lot of time on. I'm curious to see what New Orleans looks like. I just have this feeling that they're going to be the worst team in the league.
I think they will be the worst team in the league because they have no star power anywhere. They have no balance. Everything's new. It's not going to be fresh. Now, Arizona's deceptive because that offense is elite. People don't give it credit. there are some crazy weapons between their tight end, their wide receiver,
between their
everything
tight
else.
end and wide receivers, and you still got Connors in the backfield.
Yep. So honestly, I think Arizona is going to be a great offense to watch. So I think Arizona wins this game pretty easily. But yeah, the Saints are going to be in trouble all year.
And they're going to be in trouble. They don't have that defense that they've had historically. And yeah, I mean, if Olave can stay healthy, they got the other guy with
the ball.
Getting
them the ball. Who's getting them the ball?
Thing. It's going to be they got Rattler starting, right?
Yeah, Spencer, I couldn't hold my job at Oklahoma. Rattler, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we'll see how that works out for them.
Exactly.
The next one I'm looking at is Miami against Indianapolis. I think this is going to be an interesting game.
A very interesting game. I mean, the Dolphins still have a lot of pieces to their offense, right? And as long as Tua's standing upright, they're going to be okay. They got A-Chain in the backfield. They don't have as deep as backfield as they used to because they lost a couple of their guys in the free agency.
Well,
but
they used to have Mostert and a few others back there. And
offensively, offensively, they still got Tyreek, who's on child number 10, but apparently he's back focused this year. We'll see how that goes. And then you got Penguin boy, Waddle. So
is he related to Sean Kemp? He's got 10 kids.
He's going for the record. I mean, he is going I think the closest is 13 or I forget the guy that used to be running back for the Broncos. That guy was at 13 with like a 12 women or something like that. So he's getting to that upper echelon of Mount Rushmore of kids and wives or whatever you want to call it.
Hey, you know what? Baby mama. Come on, man. Have you ever heard of a condom? They actually have these things.
Hey, he's too quick. He's a cheetah.
He's a cheetah in more than one way.
Yeah, he's that cheetah.
He's a cheetah and he's a cheetah.
Yeah. So to that point, I mean, I like Miami. The Colts, I mean, you got Jonathan Taylor, you got that whole thing, but I don't know. The Colts culture has just changed to where they're just mundane. They're just not great at all anymore.
You know what? I don't disagree with that, and I'm sorry. The New York Giants thought that he wasn't any good, and now he's just starting quarterback. Ugh, that scares me. And your backup is somebody you don't even believe in. Well, your backup is somebody you picked as a high draft pick, and you don't even believe in him. And he walked off the field. I'm sorry. Of all the things you can do, one of the things you can't do is when you're playing a team sport, walk off the field and tap yourself out.
Anthony Richardson is the example of Gen Z in my world. Seriously, the quitter generation.
I like that. I like that correlation there because I do agree with you. I think Miami handles that one. We'll see what happens to Indy, especially given their division. If Houston has a resurgence, Indy might end up being a less than 500 team for sure.
Right.
What else? Speaking of
Jets, Steelers is a big one.
Oh, you got Jets, Steelers? Okay. Is Rodgers coming back to New York? He didn't do shit in New York, right?
I mean, he was there for a cup of tea. I don't even count it as part of New York. Now, the real question is, does Mike Tomlin somehow figure out how to make Rodgers relevant again?
You know what? Tomlin, for all the things he's done, I'm surprised he's never gotten coach. He's never gotten coach of the year. I don't know why. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
The guy just wins every year. He never loses.
Yep.
Here's the problem. Here's the thing that I'm unsure of. Aaron Rodgers is a different animal altogether. And while they might act like they got a bond, let them lose a couple of games and let's see where that goes.
Yeah. Right. And Mike Tomlin's not afraid to speak his mind, and he's got ownership's backing. So, I mean, I think it'll get interesting if it goes sour, it'll go sour fast. Pittsburgh has always been a run-heavy game. They got rid of Najee Harris. They got, Jalen, I forget his name. I forget his last name all the time, but he'll be the lead back. They drafted a back. They're going to be a run-heavy team. Can DK Metcalf become that dude? I don't know with Aaron Rodgers. That's going to be the real wild card story. They've got 2 elite tight ends in Pittsburgh. So he's got pieces to make the offense work. We know the defense. The defense is going to be the defense for Pittsburgh. There's no question.
Right.
But, can they sustain that against the better teams like the Ravens and everything else they got going in the division? I don't know. That's going to be said. And now against the Jets, I think they're going to smoke the Jets.
I do too. But I have to do this. Like, remember the Jets at one point, people were saying they had one of the best defenses. If they know how to handle their quarterback situation correctly, I think Justin Fields got a raw deal in Chicago because we kept changing coaches and the coaches sucked to begin with. I think if they learn how to harness his talent and don't ask him to throw too many balls downfield and be more run heavy, they got the potential to be run heavy with Brees and such. But if they are able to do that, I think they could actually pull this game out, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one. I mean, the line's only 2.5, and I think it is going to be a close game, and it's in New York. So I think there's potential there. It'll be an interesting watch. That's right. I think it's going to be a close game either way, but I'll go Steelers by a hair. I don't know if I'd want to touch that line, though, at all, honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't tie them. As a matter of fact, I'm not putting that in my bets. And what you were talking about, that was Jalen. Couldn't think of his name either. It took a moment. Warren. And they also got Gainwell, who came from Philly.
And
so
Gainwell.
We'll see how that works out. But you're right about their tight ends. I think they're going to utilize Freiermuth and Jonnu pretty well. We'll see what happens. What I'm curious of, they think that they had issues with Pickens. I don't know, but do people remember how much of a diva Metcalf is?
That's what I'm saying. You're talking about Gen Z receivers, as far as I'm concerned. Like all these guys are just,
So it's just funny that they haven't really talked about that, but that's why I say let them lose a couple of games, especially at the beginning of the season, and we'll see if this all just implodes.
Yep, absolutely. Giants Commanders.
What needs to be said here? Everybody's high on the Giants, and they got some talent. But I'm sorry, Washington went to the NFC Championship game with a rookie quarterback.
I like the Commanders, but I think this is going to be a real test. First off, it's a divisional game, so it's a rivalry game in its own right. I think the Commanders' offense is going to be elite. There's no question. But everybody doesn't realize the Giants' defense is elite. They've got playmakers at every point in the field. So I think it's going to be a great 1-versus-1 matchup of great defense versus great offense. So that'll be fun to watch. I think the X factor is honestly going to be, can the Giants come up with any offensive power to put points on the board?
And that's been their question for years. Can they score any points? And these are the team that got rid of Saquon.
You can't put 50 balls into Malik Neighbors and expect him to catch every ball. Like, it just doesn't work.
We'll see. But I think the best thing they could have done was to get rid of Daniel Jones. The other thing that I think is going to happen is Russell Wilson, unless he has a spectacular year and he's consistent with it, you're going to see the rookie come in. You're going to see the rookie
and I like the rookie. I want to see Jackson Dart come in and actually turn into a good player. It'd be nice to see.
Well, and I'm just hopeful that they never see Winston hit the field.
You know what, though? I love Jameis Winston. I think he's got a great life, coming after as a post-game commentator. I think he's going to be hilarious. It's going to be awesome.
I agree. He just needs to get there faster.
He's going to get there faster.
He just needs to get there faster. I like the guy. I like his vibe. But remember, this is the same guy that stole lobsters from like a Jewel or some crap back there, because he was in Florida State, and he's like, I own you. We'll see.
By far and away, the worst matchup of the weekend, I think, is the Panthers and Jags.
I mean, talk about two bad teams. It could end up being a good game only because it could be a game of futility.
What, Laura Farquaad's going to throw for 500 yards? Is that what we're saying? I don't know.
You know what? I want to see what happens at the end of this year. If Jacksonville doesn't maybe even make the playoffs, but if they don't really show any improvement
or whatever they're going to do.
Well, I think that it's going to show that, the boy from Clemson wasn't really as good as he was touted to be.
Well, and honestly, it's kind of set up with all the coaching changes. That's the other thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But they've had some decent receivers. They've had some decent running backs, but their offense never seems to really produce.
Right. No, they've never shown us what the talent it has. So we'll see what happens. Now, Bryce, what's his name with the Panthers? He's got some weapons now to play with. Is he going to get the protection to stand in the pocket? I don't know. Panthers don't have a defense. I mean, Carolina is just a situation with futility all around, unfortunately.
Well, and Bryce Young was dealt a bad hand, and I think that goes with a lot of quarterbacks. You come into the league, they end up going to the worst team, and then you look like crap. And then you have to deal with multiple coaches and all of those things. We'll see what happens. But they actually do have some things to throw to. I mean, they've got Hunter, they've got Leggett, they've got I'm sorry, but Hubbard has done a job.
Truba's a boy. I love watching Truba. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you got Dowdle, who came from Dallas. So we'll see what happens with them. They have a potential to score some points, and their defense actually hasn't really been that bad.
Yep. No, I don't disagree. I still think the Jags will probably win that game, but we'll see. It could be an interesting game.
It could be. We're very true.
Niners, Seahawks.
That's going to be an interesting game.
A good game.
Well, I mean, are the 49ers for real? A lot of people feel like the 49ers, they're
not healthy enough
to come out of the NFC to go to the Super Bowl. Is that real?
They're not healthy enough yet. I mean, they're still going to have some holes here and there. Ayuk's still injured on like year 55. I think that dude's like, it's just weird. I think the guy that'll honestly turn into a good star for them, hopefully, and I say this selfishly because he's on my team too, is Ricky Pearsall. I think he'll get the capabilities of a wide receiver one finally to kind of play up, especially with Kittle and the rest of that offense.
Right.
Can Brock Purdy stays Brock Purdy? We'll see, obviously.
Now that he got paid, sometimes things happen when people get paid. Will McCaffrey stay healthy? Are you still there?
Yeah. So no, yeah.
Will Scantling, I'm sorry, he was on the Chiefs for a minute, wasn't he?
Yes.
And he sucked.
Yeah.
He was on Green Bay. He sucked.
Yep.
I don't know. Is he really the guy? I love Pearsall. He was the guy who got shot, came back, did really well. Look at their wide receiving core. I like Jennings, but Sky Moore, I'm sorry, we're both Chiefs fans. We know why the Chiefs let him go, right?
He took some table scraps from us to, compensate or something. It's just weird. Now, the one thing I will say, CMC is obviously still going to get injured. We know that. The guy's made of glass. It's just going to happen. Now, their backup running back is Brian Robinson Jr. from the Commanders. So, another guy who got shot, who had a good season.
He's a banger, too. He can run you over.
Yep. So I think they've got the makings of a good team. We'll have to see how they last in the NFC West there. Because the West is up for grabs, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I think Seattle, if Darnold can come in and play like he did in Minnesota, you might be in for something there.
Yes. Nope, I don't disagree. Yeah, interesting.
Got a few more. I got to leave in a few minutes. My ride is coming. Houston, Los Angeles. I think this is going to be an interesting game. I have not seen Matt Stafford, so I don't know what Los Angeles' offense is going to be.
Sounds like he's injured. Yeah, sounds like he's going to play injured in whatever capacity he is. I don't know if he's going to be able to stand upright. Funny thing is, you know who one of the backups is for the Rams now?
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
No way.
Porn star Jimmy is back, baby.
Wow. Yep. I don't think he's gonna be.
I see. That's the thing. Sean, their coach can make players. He's got the capability of running that offense. So Porn star Jimmy's back for one last hurrah. We don't know. We'll see.
True, but I'm thinking Houston. I think they had a down year last year. I think Stroud wasn't as good as he had been, and I think they're going to regain some of that. And I feel like they got Kirk as a second receiver. I know he's a little injured right now, but I think
their wide receiver room. I think their wide receiver room gets better now that they got rid of Diggs. Honestly.
Oh, I 100% agree. Diggs is another one of those guys. He's got talent, but he's a cancer. He's a vet, and he talks things. And I'm sorry. You just got to get rid of those kind of players. You need people who are going to be about the team concept, not about the me concept.
Yeah, to me, like DeMeco Ryans is one of those guys, like he's a molder of men. I respect the guy as a coach. And I think because he had a younger team like 2 years ago, he was able to turn that into something, positive. Last year, I think they took a setback by bringing in some people that honestly weren't that great for the locker room. I think this year they get back on track and, turn into the team that they're capable of being. So it'll be good to see.
Yep, I agree.
Can you go to games? Yeah.
Which one were you going to?
Let's go to Lions Pack first.
Oh, and I got Houston in that game. Lions Pack. I got to take the Lions every day. I don't care if the Pack improve their defense. I'm taking the Lions, period.
Yep, I'm going Lions all day. I don't buy the Packers offense at all. Minus their running game. I mean, who the hell are they throwing the ball to? I have no idea.
We'll see. They like Golden. They think he's going to be good. Let's see if Jordan Love is as good as they think he is. We'll find out.
Yeah, he's going to have to prove it. We'll see how that one goes. Ravens Bills, which I think is the marquee matchup for the weekend for sure on Sunday night.
For sure.
I think it's going to be a shootout to start because I think the Ravens defense is good, but it's not going to be, it's week one, still it isn't a season defense just yet. Josh Allen's Josh Allen, and we're playing in Buffalo. I mean, that's as simple as that. This is going to be a great game to start the season. I'm glad it's a nightcap because I think it's going to be awesome to watch on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Lamar and the Ravens, though, because they're going to do ball control. They're going to control the clock and keep Josh Allen off the field.
And that's what I was going to say exactly, is I agree with everything you said. I feel like Buffalo has the potential. I still am not sold on their wide receiver core.
Right.
I just think that Baltimore is going to run it down their throat. I think that between the option plays with Lamar and Henry, you're just going to get a lot of running, and they're not going to be able to stop it.
Lamar, Henry, take a look at this cat Ali, who's going to be playing behind Derrick Henry. Henry, they got too many weapons. Way too many. Mark Andrews is still Mark Andrews, even though he dropped the ball. He's still there.
He's got something to prove.
My dark horse for the year in terms of kicker, watch out for Tyler Loop. That boy can kick, and he's the next Justin Tucker. He'll take over the massage parlor any day of the week.
Hey, real quick before we get to the last one, let's talk about Denver, Tennessee, since that's also on the Sunday slate. I'm sorry, until I see Cam do his thing, I'm feeling, like he and Ridley might hook up and look good later in the year. But right now, if Denver keeps that same defense and similar offense, they're going to be tough to beat at home.
Bo Nix, Sean Payton, I think that's working out really well. They've got the receiver core that I think it's underrated between Mims and Sutton. So, I'm going Broncos.
All right, last on the slate, and my ride is here or close to here. Minnesota, Chicago, Monday night.
So this is going to be interesting. This I think is a proving game for Ben Johnson. Did the offseason pay off to start getting into Caleb Williams' head and start making him the quarterback that supposedly is going to be the next franchise savior for the Bears? My answer is no in week one. I think the Vikings are going to take it this game. I like the Bears defense to slow down the Vikings, but I don't think the Bears offense is going to be up to snuff to keeping up on the board.
I don't disagree with that assessment, but I'm going to go with the Bears. One, they're at home.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I think that their defense is going to keep them in the game. And remember, I'm not sure how healthy Jefferson is, but that's true. Didn't he have a hamstring issue, something like that? That's the worst thing you can have as a receiver. Addison is out. He was suspended. So they went back and got Adam
Thielen.
They got him. They got Hawkins. They got a potential offense, but I still think McCarthy's going to have some growing pains. He's not going to step in there and do what Darnold did last year. And I feel like it's going to be a fairly low-scoring game. It's not going to be high-scoring, especially if Jefferson is 100%. If Bears can win a 2017 game, they can win one of those games.
Line's only 43 points, and the Minnesota's favored at 1.5. So it's literally a crapshoot.
So and I'm taking the Bears on that one. One, I'm not going against my team day one, and two, I'm hopeful to see that they learn how to move the ball down the field, and Caleb learns how to get rid of it whenever you're in trouble. Throw the ball out of bounds. Stop trying to make something out of nothing and losing 10, 15 yards and putting them in situations where they can't possibly get a first down.
See, to me, this is one of those situations where I think you've got some of the right pieces in play now in Chicago on both sides of the ball. What are you missing? Honestly, a reliable quarterback. Despite the fact that Caleb is supposedly the savior, I think you were a quarterback away from being a contender into the playoffs this year if you had anyone else of more senior credence.
Hey, look, that's been the story since I want to say since the 80s, that the Bears have never invested in a great quarterback. They went and got Cutler, and I'm sorry, I was never a fan of Cutler. He did a little bit of something, but he really wasn't a whole lot other than a guy who's got a DUI and had a great-looking girlfriend who realized that he was a loser and left his butt.
Pretty much.
I just don't see why the Bears have never had a good quarterback. I'm hopeful that what I'm feeling is they made a mistake and they should have taken Jaden Daniels or any of the other quarterbacks besides Caleb. But I'm going to give him a chance because of this. He came into a situation with a defensive coordinator trying to be a head coach, trying to run the offense. They sucked. And Bears historically have had such bad coaching that it's taking great talent and made it worse. Look at Justin Fields. So I'm hopeful that having been and him being what he is, and if he could be that in the capacity as a head coach, I think one of the biggest things, and we talked about this, a lot of coaches should just stay in their lane. And what I mean by that is Nagy was great as an offensive coordinator. He sucked as a head coach. Ben Johnson is a great offensive coordinator. We're going to see how much of a head coach he is. But sometimes you just need to stay where you are because maybe being a head coach takes away from you having to focus where you're talented, and you try to do too much, and all of a sudden you can't do anything.
Yep.
So.
Nope, I agree.
We shall see what happens. Go Bears, go Chiefs.
Yep.
And go, my surgeon. Please do the best job you can on me today to sit up without pain and stand up without pain as well. So I'm looking for those.
Fix this man's back so we can get back on a golf course, and maybe we can have one of these episodes on a golf course.
We were supposed to get together this year. Unfortunately, due to my health conditions, I wasn't able to make it out by you and us to have our golf outing. But that's one of my goals. So let's make it happen. Hey, week 1, NFL, you got to love it.
Yep.
Let's see what happens. But there's going to be a lot of scoring, a lot of hitting, and some great games on tap this weekend. Check it out. Starting with the one tonight, that might not be such a great game. Saquon could go off for 200 against Dallas.
Really? I think he might go off for 200. That might be funny. Now, the only disappointment for the weekend coming up, Red Zone has to have commercials, unfortunately.
Is that true?
Supposedly true.
Boo!
Yeah, they're ESPN ruining something that's been a cornerstone of the society.
Love my Red Zone. Love it.
Yep. But that said, wish my partner well here through surgery. We'll catch him on the flip side, hopefully after PT. And be well. And like I said, enjoy a great weekend of fall sports finally kicking into high gear.
Yes, it is. So sit on your couch, get all of your wings and all of the things you like to eat, grab yourself your favorite libation, and have some fun.
Yep. And be like Jameis Winston and go steal some crab legs if you need to.
You know what? I'm a star quarterback. They're supposed to be free, right?
I believe he went something like this or something like I forgot what it was. The game. Finger looking good.
All right, everybody be well. I wish you well.
Yep.
Enjoy and have a little fun this weekend.
See you guys.
All right. Thanks, bro.